Hello all sentient beings and welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we talk about all news, comics, and media related to the... On this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode, we review Dreamwave's Transformers Issue 6. IDW lays off employees, and Simon Furman talks about his writing gig on Transformers 84. Today is Friday, May 29th, 2020, and this is episode 183 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that's not going exclusive on Spotify, but we would for only $20 million. I'm your host, Charles, aka Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hey, how's it going?
And Daryl, the Cybertronian Beast.
I'd like to make it known that I would totally bust up this team for $10 million. Let's talk Transformers.
All right. Daryl has a price, if you're listening.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think all of us would probably do that. If any one of us got a deal and it's like, we just want you. Like, yeah, screw these guys.
Daryl, we need you to come with us. Where are we going? We'll just come with us. Is that a hamburger? Yes. I will go wherever you want.
All right, but until our $10 million investor comes in, we thank our donatrons who contribute slightly less than that, but they still help support the show. Thank you to all of our donatrons for continuing to fund us and keep us going. If you would like to join those ranks, just go to transmissionspodcast.com/support, and you can find links to give us money on Patreon or PayPal if you so desire. You can also help us out by buying some of our merchandise at our TeePublic store. That is at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. And you can also check out K-Girl's store at tpublic.com/user/superstark. She has some awesome designs. She's done work for us in the past, and we've got cool designs on our store, shirts, masks, other merchandise with cool Transmissions logo and designs. You can also check out the uncut version of Empire of Rust episode 24. This is exclusive to our donatrons. That will be out this Monday, so just a couple of days from now or after the weekend. This will be out Monday, June 1st. So we just had episode 24, Ship of Fools, come out this past Monday, and this is the uncut version with all the stuff that was not edited out by Mike. So you can, if you are curious as to what the behind the scenes is for all the recording shenanigans they get into with this RPG podcast, check that out. And that is another perk for our donatrons. We also want to congratulate our Toy Hacks winner for this May. This was DJ Ronan. He won the $10 gift code for May of 2020. Congratulations. And this is another perk of being a donatron. You are automatically entered into our monthly Toy Hacks contest. And DJ Ronan, a longtime supporter, gets a little bit back. Now let's get started with some comics news. Okay, first up, we've got a new cover. This is a retailer incentive cover from Transformers vs. the Terminator issue 4. So it'll be a little while before this issue comes out. It was originally scheduled to come out June 24th. I'm doubting it's gonna come out then, since we only had issue 1 in March before the pandemic, and 2 and 3 are not scheduled yet. So, but you can take a look at this image. I think it's a very cool rendering. It blends the head of the Terminator with the body of Optimus Prime in a very interesting way. And this is art by Freddie Williams II. And he's done some covers on Transformers works in the past, and his style is very unique and very cool.
I think he's been tagging us on Twitter for some of his art stuff recently.
Nice. All right. Next, we've got a little bit of a sad story. We talked about IDW furloughing employees last week, and now furloughs have turned into layoffs, which is disappointing and sad, but looks like IDW is letting go of some of its longtime employees. So in particular, David Hedgecock, Denton Tipton, Gilberto Lascano, Krista Meissner, and Spencer Reeve. All those names have been associated with IDW for a long time. So it's pretty sad to see them being, no longer having a job there. There was a follow-up article where Denton Tipton and Gilberto Lascano talked about, they didn't really go into the whole circumstances, but they are just mentioned that they're still optimistic about their future and they've got other projects going on. But yeah, it was a kind of a standard moving on to bigger and better things. So I definitely wish them well. We wish them well for all their future endeavors. But yeah, this is pretty disappointing to see IDW cutting more people. This also, it's still kind of it's juxtaposed with them getting that paycheck protection loan that they got that was reported on last week. So that's still kind of a not a great look, but IDW's been struggling for a while financially, so they're still not profitable. So I can see how they're trying to keep the company going, but still this is not great for the employees and not great for for continuing business of IDW. So just a bummer, bad news all around. But IDW is still moving forward with other projects. We had another news article from SyFy Wire about Simon Furman's new Transformers series, Transformers 84 Secrets and Lies. And this is the miniseries that is following on from the one-shot that came out last year. And this Simon Furman in this interview kind of breaks down the initial story. It's cool. We've got some artwork from Guido Guidi and colors by John Paul Bove. This preview shows a lot of images that are really cool. One thing I thought was neat, and it's mentioned in the interview, is the introduction of Skyfire into the story as a precursor to the character Jetfire that was introduced in the Marvel Comics. So it's a cool blending of Skyfire from the cartoon and introducing that into the Marvel Comics universe, and kind of coming up with a new reason for why Shockwave designed Jetfire on Earth as kind of as a similar model to Skyfire from Cybertron. So it's a really interesting tweaking of the backstory. This is something I think Simon Furman really enjoys, is mining the history of Transformers and making things fit. So this is really cool. And of course, our resident G1 fanatic Yoshi had some thoughts about this. So let's hear what Yoshi has to say.
Jeremy, thanks for pointing out the SyFy.com interview with Simon Furman regarding Transformers 84 so I could comment on it. I really appreciate that. I went ahead and read the whole article, which has tons of artwork from the upcoming series, so everybody should check that out. And just starting with the artwork, I love it. It's G1. I love it. I know that there are people that are going to be more critical about the art than I am. I don't fucking care. G1's got a special place in my heart. I love this. I love seeing new G1 art. I think it's great. I'm stoked to pick up these issues. And as far as what Furman has to say about the story, look, Budiansky and Furman are the gods that I praise. I love their stories in the original Marvel run. I'm looking forward to Furman's stories here. I read issue 0 of Transformers 84 when it came out last year, and I loved how it played with an event that happened in the original Marvel run. And if I had one complaint about that issue is that it wasn't quite long enough. There was a lot packed in there. There was a lot of going back and forth that I felt like that story needed a few more pages. And I wish Simon could have gotten that. Now, this story, Secrets and Lies, #1, this is obviously going to be another written for the trade. It's going to be one core story, I imagine. And, that pisses me off. I would love to have this be an ongoing. I'd love to listen. I would love to read more. I'd love it to be one and done issues. This just doesn't sound like that's what it's going to be to me. It sounds like it's being written for the trade in stereotypical IDW fashion. And there's that. That's the disappointment. That's the thing I don't like about this. You want me to shit on this book? That's the angle I'm going to be shitting on it. Like I don't want. I forget how many issues it is. 4, 5, 6. Like fuck. It's just lame. It's just lame. You're IDW is bringing back a G1 story because there's enough of us that are into the G1 story that like the G1 art, and I feel like this is kind of insulting and just trying to shut us up. Like, okay, here's a few more issues. Now go away. Fuck that. It is what it is. I have no doubt Simon's going to bring his A game. I'm looking forward to reading it. I am glad it's not limited to just 20 issues, 20 pages in one issue, like issue 0. So there's that, and I'm looking forward to it. So thanks for pointing this out, Jeremy, and everybody should check out SyFy.com and read the interview.
All right. I think Yoshi kind of there's an IDW in his head that is a lot more mean and petty than I think the real IDW, but okay. I think IDW, I don't think IDW was planning to do a G1 series. I think they saw the sales for issue 0 from last year and thought, well, maybe there's a market here. Let's test it out with giving them a longer series. So I think that's positive, is that they're responding to. And we know what happens
with G1 series that have a 4-issue limit.
Yeah, if those trends continue, then look forward to 80 issues of Secrets and Lies.
If sales are crazy with this, it'll keep going.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's encouraging that IDW responds to, people paying attention to their books. So, yeah, I think definitely I enjoyed Secrets and Lies issue 0 from last year, or Transformers 84 issue 0 for last year. I'm looking forward to this miniseries this year. It's been delayed. It was supposed to start in May, but of course it's been delayed due to the pandemic and everything else. Although there's conflicting reports, the SyFy Wire article says that this is not coming until late July, but our friend of the show, John Paul Bove, is mentioning on Facebook that this is coming in June. So,
who knows when comics come out now?
Yeah, but I hope it's I hope it's sooner rather than later. So I would be happy if it was coming out in June. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I think of course, a 4-issue miniseries, it's going to be broken up, but I hope there will be a core story in each issue. Everything these days seems to be written for the trade, more or less, but I'm always hopeful for stuff. I trust Simon Furman. He's had lots more hits than misses in his long Transformers comics career, so I trust him. I trust Guido Guidi and John Paul Bove and their art duties. So I'm looking forward to this. Daryl, what do you think? Is this something you're looking forward to?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, the artwork is phenomenal, and I've been a huge fan of Guido Guidi's for a long time. So I think I was probably even a fan of his before I even got into like Alex's art and stuff like that. Like back when issue 80.5 was a free comic book day issue, I saw it and I was like, yes, I want more of this. And it was just something I gravitated to. But yeah, the art looks great. Furman, like Yoshi said, is he's one of the writers that just kind of instinctually knows what these characters are going to do, how they're going to act, and how they speak to each other. So pretty much anything he does, I'm going to be trusting with his writing style. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. I'd like it, like you, to come out before, July, but personally, I've come to the realization that I really can't figure out when anything's going to happen anymore. So as long as it comes out, I'm happy.
And Jeremy, are you also looking forward to it?
Yeah, and I've been doing, a few days ago, I started rereading the Robots in the Sky series, the John Barber one, and I've just hit the issues that have like that flashback art that Guido did in the old Marvel style. Mm-hmm. And then we have this story. I'm just like, oh, I cannot wait for more of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is going to be fun.
All right, and that will lead us into the IDW Transformers Comics solicitations for August 2020. So only 2 comics on the list, but actually I'm unclear as to whether this is really coming in August, because we've got Transformers number 23 and Transformers 84 Secrets and Lies number 4. So SyFy Wire says issue 1 is coming at the end of July, and then the solicitations say issue 4 is coming in August. So
who knows,
Sure.
man? Who knows?
What is time?
Yeah.
And Transformers 23, well, 20 hasn't come out yet. 20 was supposed to come out in April, and then 21 would be May. And yeah, that schedule's all screwed up too, so who knows about that.
20 apparently is in Diamond warehouses. It was ready to ship right before everything shut down. So
yeah, so I guess we'll see. All right, well, that's all the comics news for this week, so let's move on to our comic review.
all right, we have this week the final issue for our Dreamwave Transformers Volume 1, or Generation 1 Volume 1, Transformers number 6. This was written by Chris Saraceni, art by Pat Lee, colors by, get ready, this is a long one, Ramil Sunga, Gary Young, Alan Wing, Sean Curtis, Rob Ruffalo, Stuart Ing, Angelo Sang, Juan Malera, Matt Cosson, and Pat Lee. I have never seen a comic with that many colors that is not like an anthology type book.
Each of them took a page.
Apparently, yeah. And then we have flats by Kenny Lee, backgrounds by Edwin Garcia, letters by Dreamer Design, and edits by Matt Moylan. There were 2 covers. Cover A, the Autobot cover, has Inferno and Red Alert. This is by Pat Lee, and according to the tag on here, also Ramil Sunga and Edwin Garcia. TF Wiki just says Pat Lee. Cover B, the Decepticon cover, has Minosaur, and this is Pat Lee, and it just says Sid as like in the credit on the art itself. So I'm not sure who that refers to.
Is that the kid from Toy Story?
I don't know. But Daryl, which one of these do you like?
Oh my God,
I'm gonna say no, Daryl. Gonna say no.
It's got to beat this kid from Toy Story, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
The Menosaur cover, that's a cover that's just awesome. I really like the way that looks, and it's crazy because you know how much he does in the book, but it's just a really cool picture. The other one is still very good. It goes along with the same kind of style that the other issues have been doing. Autobot, Decepticon, that's fine. But this Menosaur cover is just cool. And the way you look at it, you think it's got to be part of a multi-page or like a combining cover kind of thing. But it's not. It's just by itself. But yeah, it's a really cool looking cover. And for some reason, I don't think I have it, but I've seen it a few times and I've been meaning to pick it up. So yeah, That's my vote.
Cool. Charles, how about you?
I am going to pick the Autobot cover, so Inferno and Red Alert. I just think it's a little bit more
boring,
a little bit more dynamic pose. I don't know. I like it better. I think it looks a little bit cooler. The Menasor cover is good too. It's just what is on his chest? It's a
car.
Yeah,
that's from the toy. You never had a G1 Menasor, did you?
No, I never did.
That's a little piece that gets added onto the front of Menasor's chest to give him some kind of it's a chest plate. It's a little car.
Okay.
It's like a little roller vehicle. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yep. Never had it. Sorry.
Oh, you missed out.
I did.
It was a really shitty little car that didn't transform or anything, but it just stuck to his chest, and other than that, you had no use for it.
And Combiner Wars, you have Blackout.
Yes,
serve that purpose.
Exactly. That's why they retconned this little car to be Blackout. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's my pick.
Well,
yeah, Red Alert, Inferno.
All right. I'm also going to pick the Autobot cover. I think the Decepticon cover is good. I've just never been a fan of Menasor. I don't like the way that the boxy look of his midsection. It just, I don't know.
Both
something
wrong.
about that has always bugged me.
You both wrong.
Yoshi's wrong too because he picked the Autobot cover too.
God.
All right. Well, let's get into the story. This is Prime Directive Part 6. At the Pentagon, the U.S. President and Defense Minister Dawson are getting updated on the situation in San Francisco. As they're getting the story about all the damage, Dawson gets a call from Central Intelligence. They've picked up signs that a nuclear launch is preparing to go off at their Pacific launch site. And they're confirming that this is just a proper test. But Dawson immediately says that no, it's not a test, and there's been no authority given to launch. And then the president grabs the phone and orders them to abort, but it's too late. The missile is on its way. In the Canadian Northwest Territories, the Canadian Army has a tank pointed at the Autobots. They misinterpret Wheeljack running towards them, and he gets blasted in the chest by the tank. Then everything goes to hell as the weakened Autobots start getting blasted by all the tanks. As Wheeljack gets up, he looks in horror as one of the tanks is about to blast a wave of the virus. In San Francisco, Megatron is trying one last time to convince Optimus to side with him and eliminate the humans. He wanted Prime to see that the humans don't live up to the ideals that Prime wants to believe that they do. However, as he talks, Prime points out the ones that do. The man that brings a woman out of a fire to paramedics and then runs back in to save more. The firefighters that are running in at risk to themselves. And a group of people that rescue someone from under a car. It's because of their sacrifices that Prime keeps going. Seeing that Optimus needs help, some humans grab some fire trucks and race down the busted highway that's above where he and Megatron are. As Megatron has his fusion cannon aimed at Prime, ready to fire, the drivers jump out of the trucks and let them fall towards the Transformers. Optimus gets out of the way and uses this distraction to free the other Autobots, but Megatron and Grimlock are hit by the vehicles. In the Pentagon, Halo is watching the nuke that's heading towards San Francisco. 15 minutes until impact. Spike rushes in and accuses Halo of everything that he's found out. Halo responds by pulling a gun on Spike, intent on making him watch San Francisco turn into rubble. In Canada, the virus has begun terraforming one of the tanks. One human gets away, but there's someone inside that tries to fire one more shot, not realizing that Cliffjumper had bent the gun upwards. When he fires, the tank explodes and Cliffjumper is blown away. Nearby, Sunstreaker tries to save another soldier, but the virus gets to the soldier before Sunstreaker could grab him. Unsure of what to do, Wheeljack spots a tower in the distance and runs off. At the same time, Halo has a gun on Spike when security and Dawson come in. Intent on not surrendering, he points his gun at the newcomers and they immediately shoot him. In San Francisco, the battle is heated up again, but Soundwave notices the missile that's coming. Megatron laughs as he figures this is the end, but Superion assembles and immediately heads out towards the missile. In Canada, Wheeljack hooks himself up to the satellite dish on the tower and uses the last of his energy to blast the virus. At the same moment, Superion is also destroyed by the nuclear missile. At an undetermined amount of time later, Prime wakes up to see Spike looking over at him. Spike lets him know that the Decepticons got away during all the chaos after the blast, but they left Grimlock. Prime offers Grimlock to join the Autobots again, but Grimlock declines and walks away. So that's the issue. On the whole, I enjoyed the issue. There were some things that I just think that maybe the creators didn't understand, like how the American government is set up, and also geography, because one, we don't have a defense minister. There's no group called Central Intelligence that would call. And then there at the end, Spike has gotten from the Pentagon to San Francisco right after the blast, and he's still wearing that winter parka. So those things just all kind of pulled me out of the story. But on the whole, I liked it. The battle I thought was good. The writing for like Megatron's motivations and Optimus's motivations, I thought that was spot on. Wheeljack's sacrifice was, I hate to see a character like Wheeljack die, but the sacrifice was a good sacrifice. And then also Superion, and then Prime's reaction when, he looks over and Superion, like the Aerobots are just combining. They didn't say anything to him. And he realized that they knew the danger and they were going into it. I thought all of that was done very well. So, this was an enjoyable end to the series. Daryl, let's go to you. What did you think of the book?
I thought it was really good. There was a lot of like tense moments in the book that I thought were portrayed very well. There were faces that changed their expression numerous times.
Yeah.
And there was yelling. There was definitely more than dull surprise. And one guy was definitely sad at one point. It was, there was some of that. I didn't remember reading this book. So, when Superion just transformed, combined, and took off, first of all, I read it originally as like, well, he's splitting, like he's getting out of here, and and I'm like, okay, well, Prime's just lost, he's lost all control of his group, Superion's, dicking off and getting out of the area because he can move fast, and then I it shows that Superion just kind of intercepts the missile and basically kills himself, and I thought, okay, well, that's very touching and a sad way to go. Wheeljack takes himself out, which is, to save the planet again. And that's also a nice way to go and very touching. So yeah, no, it was quite touching. The amount of discussion between Prime and Megatron kind of was annoying, I found. It was like, guys, first of all, there was a few times Prime is basically broken down at this point. He can barely stand. Megatron's screaming at him, and then you see that the fire trucks crash over the bridge and take out Megatron and the Decepticons, and then the next panel is Prime's bending the steel to release his Autobots, and then he's running away too. I'm like, 2 panels ago you were on your knees, barely able to stand, right? And then the same thing kind of happens when Wheeljack gets blasted by the tank, right? He's saying, I can hardly function. I've got very little energy. And then at some point he comes up with an idea and he's like, I got to go do this. And he runs off. I'm like, you were broken, right?
You were barely
How
functioning.
are you moving? Right?
Daryl, the Autobots have something called adrenagen, and it kicks in very, tense situations.
Gotcha. Right. And the other thing, I mean, I don't think it was kind of, I don't find it touching, but you really don't see it in comics where a bad guy he's like, I'm not going to be taken alive, and then is legit killed in the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that was a very believable scene.
Sure it was, right? But that just doesn't happen in modern comics. Spider-Man webs up the enemy and just leaves him for the police and goes off. Batman continuously puts Joker in the asylum and he'll break out every time. You don't see a bad guy just saying, I'm not being taken alive, and you know, he goes down with death by cop kind of thing, right? So yeah, but it's an interesting book. Definitely some exciting points. The art was okay. It was decent. Yeah, I liked it. It was a good end to the 6-issue arc.
Cool. And I will also say, like, for the amount of talking that Megatron did, Halo did so much more,
yeah.
and that was
a ton.
That was like really bad in my the Halo and Spike page where they're just doing all that talking. You're like, half of this page is word bubbles.
Yeah, it's like, shut up and kill somebody.
Right. Charles, what were your thoughts?
In general, I agree with you guys. I think this was a good conclusion to this miniseries. I do think, I mean, overall, taking the story as it is, taking it as, you know, a G1-esque book and comic, and you know, setting up the general overall plot, I think it's good. The art is good. The fight scenes were pretty good. There are some things that kind of nag at me and get under my skin. I mean, you mentioned the whole, you know, some of the things with like the defense minister, also like the idea that a random general can just launch a nuke without any communication from the president. Like, you know, we have the whole concept of the nuclear football because the president is supposed to be the only one who can authorize a nuclear launch. And
well, and even then it's like the two people have to confirm it and stuff.
Yeah. So the idea that Halo could just launch the nuke without even telling the president, and they didn't even know about it, it's just kind of, you know.
Yeah, and there's also one more thing about that I was thinking about. As soon as that launched, every other country with nukes would launch theirs. Yeah. Have they not seen war games?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just Halo in general, his whole villain plan just kind of falls apart. I mean, you can chalk it up to him just being kind of clinically insane, but I mean, his whole plan from the beginning, like even from like originally starting the Arc 2, sabotaging the Arc 2, if he had just sat back and done nothing, the Transformers were already leaving Earth. He would have got rid of them forever. So why, you know, everything that was set in motion in this story was counter to what his stated goal was, to like protect, you know, the country from the Transformers. So I just kind of, it was just weird. Like his individual, I guess, plan, like he wants to control them and then he wants to use them as, you know, US super weapons. But then when he gets to like point Z where, well, I lost control, so let's just nuke a city. I feel like you kind of just, you've made some poor choices, Halo, whatever your name is. And I mean, even to the point where, yeah, he doesn't even care if he gets, you know, he's like, okay, and I'm going to kill myself too. So yeah, it's, you know, the story's fine. The overall story's fine, but Halo's whole motivation just didn't, it took me out of it. But other than that, I mean, and also the sacrifices of the Autobots, I thought that was good. I mean, I think at the time I was a little bit annoyed because, you know, you bring back Transformers just to kill them off again. And again, you don't kill any Decepticons. You only kill Autobots. You know, that's, of course, that's just the fan in me saying I want more stories with Wheeljack and the Aerial Bots. But I think it's actually a bold move to kill those characters off in this miniseries. But spoiler alert, this would be totally undone in the next miniseries, so don't give them too much credit. But yeah, I thought overall it was a good end to this series.
Well, we also have comments from Yoshi on this, so let's see what he had to say.
Dreamwave Transformers Issue 6. Issue 6 has two beautiful covers, guys. I can't find any fault in either of them. I think they're both gorgeous. If I walked into a comic book store with only $3 in my pocket, I'm going to buy the Autobots cover, though. And the only reason for that is just because I'm a slightly bigger Autobots fan than Decepticons fan. And issue 6 was jam-packed with beautiful art, action, dialogue, story. I mean, it was, you definitely got your money's worth on this issue. I cannot complain about that. Now, is it a one-and-done issue like I'd prefer that they'd write, that I would enjoy more? No, it is not. Did I hate the issue because of that? Not really. If I'd started off with issue 6, I think I would feel like I got my money's worth, but I would also feel inclined to buy the previous 5 issues to understand 3 core things, folks. What the fuck is going on with the Autobots? What the fuck is going on with the Decepticons? And where the fuck did Canada get tanks? That's those 3 questions I need answered, and that would make me go buy the previous 5 issues, which is what a publisher probably wants. They want you to pick up issue blah, blah, blah and be like, oh, this is fantastic. I got to go back and get the previous issues. I think you can still pull that off with a one-and-done story, though, which that's just my personal preference. I've beaten that horse to death. This issue at times felt like a mirror issue to issue 5, which was kind of cool. You know, issue 5, you've got Megatron pointing out all the worst in humanity and why are they worth saving, and let's just trash this planet and take its energy sources and go the fuck home. And Optimus Prime in this issue points out and observes the good in humanity and decides that that is what worth fighting for, even if most of them are against Transformers or against Autobots or against their help, which was very, very cool. I thought there's a lot of the core Prime that I like as a kid in this interpretation of Prime. Definitely sad when Superion took a bullet for the team there. And man, you know, I found it super interesting, very, very interesting that Grimlock chose not to come back with Optimus Prime, but they left it open, or at least I interpreted it as they left it open. I don't necessarily know that Grimlock is going back to the Decepticons. Maybe he's just going to go off and start his own Dinobot faction and tell everyone to go fuck themselves. And I can't help but think at the same time, like, Grimlock choosing to do that, in my opinion, is far, far more plausible and acceptable than IDW saying that Megatron's now an Autobot. Like, I can buy Grimlock choosing to be a Decepticon or just choosing to go off on his own way more than Megatron choosing to be an Autobot or a good guy, or however you want to do it. So yeah, great story. I loved all the dialogue. I don't know if I don't mean to say I love the dialogue. I love the quantity of dialogue. Like, it definitely wasn't a fast page turner. I enjoy having to actually read comics. It's part of the reason that I think the $3 price tag is justified on this issue. So art good, dialogue good, action good. I guess I'd give it 9 Canadian tanks out of 10. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.
Right. Well,
hard disagree on his last point.
Yeah, the dialogue.
No, on the Grimlock versus Megatron. Hard disagree there.
Well,
there was.
Yeah, I mean, there always has to be stuff that we disagree with, Yoshi.
There was little to no motivation for Grimlock to switch sides here, and we had years of character development of Megatron in the IDW story to justify that. Well,
anyway, I guess we'll have to see where we go from here. I think we've discussed...
Again, spoiler alert, it was undone in the next miniseries.
All right. Well, anyway, I think we talked about before the show, next week we're going to do the next 4 issues of Cyberverse. So
Episodes.
Yeah, sorry. The next 4 episodes of Cyberverse, which are all on YouTube for those of you in the US, and if you're not, you probably know where to get it. This is what, episodes 5 through 8?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that'll be fun. I actually haven't watched them yet. I like to watch them in chunks. So.
The introduction of the Quintessons.
Well, I look forward to embracing our new Quintessent Masters.
It's very reminiscent of a late 90s movie that was very popular, if you catch my drift.
I guess that will be it for our comic review section.
All right, and let's move on to Transformers Media News.
All right, in media news this week, if you've been looking to buy a new bicycle and you are in Indonesia, you can get a Pacific bike that's Transformers branded. It's a 20-inch BMX 3.0 model, and it's retailing for 1,450,000 rupiah, or about just under $100 US. There are 3 characters that are featured or could be featured on the different models: Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and Shockwave Hotshot. Does that mean 4 characters, or is that a Hotwave Shot or Shockwave Hotshot? I don't know. So anyway, that's yeah. So there's this bike, you can get it, and it's got Transformers branding. So if that's something you're looking for, it might be difficult to get if you're in, North America, but if you're in Indonesia, cool. Next topic is phones. Everyone uses one, everyone's got one, and kind of you can't leave home without it anymore. But do you have a IQ 003? I don't know. I've never heard of this company before, but they make a phone that's it's their 3rd model. It's a 5G mobile device. It runs Android 10, and they've done a Transformers version of it. So it's got like a Autobot symbol on the back. It also comes with like a case for it that's got Autobot branding on it, as well as the wall charger that it comes with also has Autobot branding on it. This is kind of cool if you just don't want to buy a phone case that has an Autobot brand on it. But so this is kind of neat. I've never heard of this brand of phone before, IQ00 or IQ00. It's I don't know, it looks like a pretty decent phone. I'm personally starting to look for a new phone. The BlackBerry is heading out. They don't make any more, so I'm looking for something new. If anyone knows of the best phone out there that takes really good pictures, I'm open to suggestions. Let me know.
iPhone 11.
Nope, I'm not taking suggestions for iPhone devices. So anyway, that's the phone, and up next is something kind of cool. This was, I don't know how we found this. This was a tweet from a Simon Lech, and he is curating the Sunbow and Marvel Productions script and storyboard archive. So he tweeted out the script. I guess it's not just this script. It's what is it? The first draft? Yeah, this first draft script to Fire in the Sky, and that's really cool. So if you are a fan of the old G1 episodes and you are interested to see kind of how it gets broken down script wise, like I said, it's the first draft, but you can flip through the entire script here and see what it's all about. Kind of cool. So yeah, take a look at that. It's neat to see kind of the behind the scenes stuff from this very old cartoon now.
Yeah, this is very cool. They have storyboards and everything for various like commercials and episodes.
Right on. All right. Lastly, we've got just a normal kind of announcement for Cyberverse. Like Jeremy was saying at the end of the comic book segment, Cyberverse Episode 9 of Season 3 is going to be available on the Hasbro's YouTube channel for Americans only. And like he said, next week in the review segment, we're going to talk about episodes 5 through 8. So take a look at those, kind of catch up or rewatch them if you want to kind of take part in the review or kind of carry along with us or not get spoiled anyway. And it's kind of like what we talked about a bit there. It's very, very reminiscent of a late 90s movie that you'll see when you watch it. You're like, how did they not know they were ripping this off? And they did. They knew. So, yeah. Take a look. Episodes 5 to 8 next week. And that's it for media news.
All right, and let's move on to convention news.
All right. We mentioned last week about the TF Nation big broadcast, and they announced a few guests this last week. They've been doing some Twitch streams, some with like watch-alongs from like G1 episodes, but they did one where they announced they were talking a little bit about the big broadcast event, and they announced 3 guests. Paul Eiding, who you'll know as a G1, it was G1 Ratchet. Oh, sorry, G1 Perceptor.
Yeah, Perceptor.
Sorry. And then Peter Spellos, who was the best shark in the 2001 Robots in the Skies. He was also the only shark. He was Skybite. And then Townsend Coleman, who was Sentinel Prime in Animated. So
And the Tick.
and the Tick.
Not in Transformers, though.
I think all of them are pretty familiar to TF Nation itself. I think they've all been guests at previous conventions. But it'll be interesting to be able to see this. I'm excited to kind of see any kind of TF Nation convention content from over here. So this is exciting news. So hopefully we'll have more announcements as we get closer. Oh, it does say every Friday they're going to have new announcements. So that is all we got for convention news this week.
All right, and we will finish up the show with some feedback. All right, I mentioned in the toy show earlier this week, we had Instagram feedback from Cameron, and he continues with a couple of items that he left that I think are more relevant to alt mode. First bit, so he's referencing when we were talking about the Michael Bay movies being some people's G1 in our show a few weeks ago. And he says, I am 15 and my dad first introduced me to Transformers when I was like 4 with the G1 series, and I've loved it since. I think it's That's shame.
A good dad.
Mm-hmm. Well done, Dad.
He's, excellent parenting. Excellent parenting.
He was 9 when we started this show.
He's younger than my son. Younger than my oldest son. I think it's a shame that younger fans like myself only have seen the theatrical films and not the OG.
Me too.
And in his opinion, in Cameron's opinion, G1 is the best series, of course. My second favorite is Armada. Not a fan of any of the other series, though. So, Cameron, I got some homework for you. Beast Wars, Transformers Animated, and Transformers Prime. Check those out. And Cyberverse, too. Cyberverse is really good.
Yeah. I think if he enjoys G1 and Armada, I think Animated is a good fit for, it's kind of a reimagining of G1. I think it would fit. But then Beast Wars is some of the best Transformers.
Yep.
It's a slog.
Nope.
You're a slug.
I would agree with Animated and then maybe Transformers Prime.
If you like it when it gets dark.
Yeah, and you like action and just dark and, killing and zombies and yeah.
And I think Cyberverse is really that's just the most recent series that's really well done. So
that was an unexpected surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, if he's really fond of the G1 series, which come on, I am too. He's really not in it for the writing. It wasn't written well. It was just written quickly.
I thought Cyberverse was written well. It was really well done.
No,
show.
I'm saying G1.
Oh, yeah. G1.
G1 was not written well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was actually inspired by Cameron's feedback, and I've shown my 5-year-old a few episodes here and there of G1, but yesterday morning we sat down and I showed him the first 3 episodes of G1, and we're going to continue on here and there, and he really enjoyed it, so that's cool.
Nice. Cameron, we're glad you're listening to the show. We do tag ourselves as explicit, but I think at 15 it's probably nothing you haven't already heard, but just make sure your dad's okay with you listening.
That's true.
I'm sure he is, but Yeah. But thanks. We really appreciate the support. Thanks for listening.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Shit balls.
That's the kind of quality content you can expect from Transmissions.
Unfortunately.
All right, everyone. That'll do it for this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this episode of Transmissions. But just because this episode is over doesn't mean the Transformers fun has to stop. Join us and other Transformers fans on our Discord chat server by visiting transmissionspodcast.com/discord. If you would like to learn more about how you could support the Transmissions Podcast, just visit transmissionspodcast.com/support. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
You didn't hold your breath this time, did you?
I always do.